What's up, guys? I know this is being uploaded a little later than usual, but I had to spend a whole lot of time editing Discount Hoven 7, and that's a collaboration project, so if you want to see it before it appears on my channel, then please keep an eye on Logic's channel, since it will be appearing over there first. Alright, that little bit of housekeeping out of the way, today we're going to be talking about anxiety. Or, more importantly, anxiety propaganda. So look forward to that. As per usual though, let's go ahead and get right into the fan art. I guess today's the day of Rule 63 and cross-dressing my character, since we start out with Bumbling Bee imagining my avatar as if it were a magical girl. Now we just have to hope that my character finds itself into something like Sailor Moon and not something like Madoka Magica. If you've seen both of those, you'll at least get the joke. Next, we've got this one from Gaelic Nox. I recently became a patron of hers, and one of the things you get is a monthly sketch, and I basically said make whatever you want. As per usual, I've learned to regret decisions like that are open and vague. So that is me dressed as if I were in Madoka Magica. Great. And last but not least, we have another submission from KK, who decided to take that concept and give their own spin on it as well. So yeah, if there's anything that gives me anxiety, it's apparently Magical Girl Suris. Anyways, bad jokes out of the way, let's go ahead and roll that intro. Alright, so a little disclaimer before we get into the video. I think, and I'm pretty sure, that this video is coming from a very good place in this person's heart. The production values are really good, and honestly, I'd like to applaud everything in the video except the conclusion. I thought the conclusion of the video was pretty ambiguous, and then I sent it to multiple other friends, content creators, and fans. The end result was apparently everybody seeing that it was thinly veiled propaganda. And given that its target audience is a group of very vulnerable people like myself, that honestly makes me worry. So let's go ahead and roll the video.
Welcome, everyone. Every time you walk through these doors, you're taking steps to find yourself. Remember, this is a safe place. There's no judgment. You are accepted right where you're at, and wherever that leads, to find your own peace and happiness. Feel free to express yourself to release your anxiety. I want you to be able to walk out with inner strength to finally be free. Clayton, it's great to have you back. I know you don't like to share, but why don't you start us off tonight? We want to hear what you have to say.
Alright, so we're already starting off showing that this is a group therapy session for people who suffer from anxiety. These types of groups are pretty common when trying to deal with things like alcoholism, drug addiction, anxiety, severe depression. Getting a group of people around you that you can learn to trust and talk to will inevitably help with a lot of these scenarios. So far, we have no issues.
I wake up, puddle of sweat. I have nightmares and I get back into bed. It's like these voices just keep playing on repeat in the back of my head, and I can't get them to leave me alone. 30 years old, but still hates being alone when I'm home, because that's when the voices get the loudest. Opening up like this is a moment far from my proudest, but these demons keep pressing me. I swear they're the foulest, but I've grown comfortable with their presence. My conscience is calloused. My dreams are their playground, my thoughts are their palace. I try to evict them, they return with more. Anxiety isn't an item you can return at the store. I was 10 the first time I had a panic attack. Like a punch to the stomach, there's no planning for that. And I didn't tell anyone because I was too scared about what they'd say. And I know deep down there was nothing they could do to take it away. It was my fight to fight and my battle to face. I remember that house I grew up in and how those demons would rattle that place. I'd lay awake at night just staring at the ceiling. I've spent my whole life trying to run from that feeling of being lonely, that feeling of being lost, that feeling of being sick when the lights turn off.
So far, like I said before, everything here can be pretty much agreed with. If you've ever suffered from anxiety, then a lot of this is probably going to speak to you very strongly. It spoke to me very strongly the first time that I listened to this video. That constricting feeling that it can give you is something that doesn't ever truly go away. I can empathize with the character on display here because I've lost a career to this before. I had full healthcare coverage, $40,000 a year. I was able to live in a really good part of town. I was able to afford going out to eat every day if I so chose, and I was within walking distance of Marietta Square. For those who know the area, that's actually a pretty good thing. Anxiety, and by extension my inability to control it, led to me ultimately losing that career and falling into a spiral of debt. So please bear in mind that when I start to get more judgmental on the video, it's coming from a place of somebody who lives with this every day.
That feeling of being depressed, that feeling of being anxious, that feeling of screaming to God, begging him to take this, only to get silence in return. I'd lay in that bed crying and I'd toss and I'd turn, and I turn and I toss to this day. The doctors gave me medication, the pastor said pray. I tried both and this anxiety still hasn't gone away.
It's basically what happened to me as well. I was already well on my way of becoming an atheist at the time, so I didn't exactly have the issue with the pastor, but I most certainly did have the issue with medication, where it either felt like it made it worse or didn't have a positive impact. The takeaway from right here, though, is that even religion, even talking to his God, did not stop it, and that's how it works. But this is an interesting portion because of what's going to happen later in the video, and I think you guys are going to start being able to see where this is going soon. Until then, please keep in mind that prayer and trying to get counsel from his pastor did not work.
So forgive me if I fantasized about being gone today. I'm an actor who got really good at being on today, but when I turn off, I go right back into the shadows. I'm in the deep end now, but I started in the shallows, and I might just drown myself in these waves. Suburban hell, these homes are all graves. Everyone's coping with something but won't admit it. They're all too afraid, and these kids are glued to watching me. What do I say? If I'm honest with them, maybe they won't think highly of me. Everything they want me to be is what I'm dying to be, but everything I really am is what I'm not trying to be. I want them to know that they're not alone in their struggles. I wake up in tears and fall back asleep in those puddles, and I don't think I'll ever get out of this valley I'm in. Terrified that all along God has tallied my sins, and if he has, the number must be astronomical. My life is a joke and you keep reading, just past the comic, because everything you think that I am is far from the truth. I wish I could open up to you and just let loose, but my vocal cords get tight when the devil pulls on this noose, and then I'm back to keeping everything bottled up inside. But he's not gonna keep me from pulling the throttle back this time.
So the first time that I watched this video, I thought that when he mentioned the devil here that it was just allegory, because I get that same constricted feeling in my lungs and chest whenever an anxiety attack is coming, or if it's trying to prevent me from doing something that I absolutely want to do. It can lock you in place, and yes, you did hear correctly, he mentioned the suicidal thoughts. Those are also something that I've battled with thanks to anxiety. Not the proudest moment in my life, and I can only say that I'm glad that the rope didn't hold me. Suffice to say, I've been there too, and I'd like to formally put it out there that if any of you were dealing with these issues as well, my Discord is always open. You can talk to me there, or you can talk to other people who can also help out. It's not as good as a physical support group, and it's certainly not meant to be that way. But I've found throughout the years that it is better to have some type of community to turn to than none.
He's not gonna keep me trapped like this. I can't get out of bed, I was never made to act like this. I'm packing up my bags and he can't stop me from running fast like this. I'm not gonna be a slave to these voices of anxiety. I'm shoving the devil back for every time that he lied to me, and I'm taking a belt to these demons who whisper despair in my ear, and I'm ignoring every naysayer who stands and stares when I'm near. I'm moving forward out of this slump. I took my bruises, I took my lumps. I fell down, but I got right back up.
Note the imagery here. Again, he's pointing out that this is all the devil or demons that are doing this. And again, up to this point, this could be easily seen as allegory, and you can even see with the fading of the people in the chairs that he's no longer talking to them, but he's trapped inside his head during this entire speech. Again, the imagery here is really good. There have been several times where I've gone through an entire scenario in my head, but actually been locked in place and unable to commit.
So give me a torch and let's light that up. I'm setting fire to the devil and I'm dousing these demons in gasoline. Look at you now. Now you're not laughing at me. Now who's the one who's being tortured and punked? Now who's the one closing every door that I want? Now who's the one watching the other burn to the ground? Don't look away from me. You better turn back around. I'm not done talking to you now. I'm watching your moves. I'm on your back and I'm stalking you too. And when you try to ruin some other kid's life, I'll be stopping you too. You took 30 years of my life and I can't get that back. You told me to end my life and I nearly got killed for that. You took me down but I bounced right back. I was lost then and I got found like that. And everything you told me I wasn't, someone new told me I was. And everything you hated in me, someone new told me he loves.
And now we see the allegorical demons being shaped into real ones. What could originally have been seen as just clever wordplay, we are slowly starting to see is actually meant to be real. These are no longer allegorical demons to him, these are real demons, and he needed to be saved to get away from them. If it isn't patently obvious where the video's going by now, it will be in another minute.
And when you tried to kill me with depression and anxiety, he reached in and placed hope deep inside of me. So I'm done listening to you and letting you control me. I'm announcing it now that the devil can't hold me. I'm walking away from the old me, and I'm demanding a refund on every lie that you sold me. You knew I'd find a way out sooner or later, and I found my escape in the form of a savior.
And there it is. We can ignore most of the standard responses about how people can get more anxiety because of the in-group, out-group behavior of Christian culture, and instead focus on his message where anxiety was cured, or at least helped, by accepting Jesus into his heart, whatever that actually means. And there it is. All the imagery comes together for one final physical piece. He's in the middle of a support group, but the only person who actually notices his issues is God, apparently. Now, strangely enough, so far I don't have as many issues with this as I normally would, because up until this point, the message has been that religion can help with your anxiety, and in some cases it can. Some people need to turn to a type of deity of some kind in order to help with their mental issues and their depression. The problem with this, though, is that religion and deities are no substitute for actual psychological help. If anything, they're a band-aid at best, but they can help along if you need them. The real issue I have with this is coming up.
Clayton. We're here to help. Are you sure you don't want to share?
I'm good. Thank you.
And now he's showcasing behavior of somebody who actually does suffer from anxiety very badly. When his support group tries asking him if they can help, he denies it. And instead of opening up about what's going on inside him, he decides to leave. Normally, this would be indicative of somebody who's suffering very badly, or at the very least does not want to seek help for problems that they are very much facing. With all the imagery so far of being locked inside his own head, it's not a stretch to conclude that he's still suffering from these issues. And there's the frame that pisses me off right there. Now the entire story behind this video becomes very, very clear. It's gone from a heartfelt piece about anxiety to misinformation. Misinformation that actually has an agenda. Converting people to Christianity, instead of actually helping them with their problems. That would be the reason why we're freezing on the frame of an anxiety supportless group. Support groups that actually can help in these scenarios, as far as this video is concerned, are being painted as useless. Throughout the poetry, he also says that medication did not help. And at the end of the video, we can see that the support group is not helping. The only thing that is helping his anxiety is Jesus Christ. There's a few issues I have with this. One, yes, religion can actually help out with anxiety, but it helps at the same rate that it hurts. So it's going to be on a case-by-case basis at best. So painting this message that the only way to get away from anxiety is by turning to Christ isn't just downright harmful, it's pretty fucking offensive. If I were in the middle of an anxiety attack and somebody said that I just need to turn to Christianity in order to fix it, I'm not exactly sure how I'd respond to that, but it most certainly wouldn't be positively. But there is one more thing here that bothers me. Remember how earlier in the video he said that the pastor didn't help and prayers didn't help? But yet we get to the end of the video, and those are the things that actually helped, or at least a relationship with Jesus. Praying is supposed to be part of that relationship you have with your God, so if that didn't help and your prayers went unanswered, why is it suddenly at the end of the video you can now say that they were answered and they're helping you with your anxiety, if not curing it? At best, we have a mixed message from sloppy presentation, and at worst, we have disingenuous bait and switching. That bait and switch would be bad enough if it weren't for the final message showing that only the Lord and Savior that your prayers apparently couldn't be answered by is the answer to your anxiety. And that wouldn't be seen as the actual message of your video if you didn't end on this frame of the anxiety supportless group. And this is honestly what I find most damaging about this entire piece. Not only is the message delivered in a sloppy way, but the production values are high enough that it's very, very watchable. And because it's very watchable, it's easier for it to hit its target audience, which happen to be incredibly vulnerable people. The video's targeted at people who suffer from anxiety, suicidal thoughts, depression. And yes, these are people who need help. Hell, I fall into all of those categories. But targeting them with what ultimately becomes thinly veiled religious propaganda at the end is not cool. Like I said at the beginning of the video, it seems like it's coming from a very good place in this person's heart, and I would like to commend that. If we didn't see in the final frames of this that the end result is so notoriously damaging, you are actively suggesting that people turn to Christ instead of seeking help. Moreover, you're painting the possible help options for them as supportless or useless. This does nothing to help people who actually suffer from anxiety. In fact, this actually causes them more issues than not. Painting anxiety as something caused by the devil or demons, and then saying that Christ is needed to slay them right after saying that prayers didn't help you, it seems like you were trying to make your message work for both secular people and for Christians, or at the very least, potential converts. Do you not see how that's problematic, especially when dealing with vulnerable people? Oh well, I've at least aired my thoughts out on the video. I think the presentation was good, but I think the message was mixed, sloppy, and disingenuous. Given to the right type of person, though, I can also see it being misleading enough to lead them down a path of self-destruction. I did a video kind of on the same nose as this topic with Shannon Q and Ocean when we talked about Christianity supposedly curing depression. That was a hammered out episode. That said, I do hope that Clayton, the narrator of the video, actually does see this video and takes my criticisms to heart. It seems like he's a good person trying to do a good thing. I just don't think he sees the actual destructive end result of what he's trying to do. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, please leave a like and share it with your friends. Subscribe if you haven't already, hit the bell notification icon because YouTube's weird. Links to Patreon and other stuff will be down below as usual, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching the video, everybody. Insert end of video tagline here.